All right, so we have the grand finale of our Aspiring Leaders series here with Lunch and Learn. And so we are going to be talking to some principals today to get some insights into a day in the life of a Suffolk Public Schools principal and beyond. So I will turn it over to them for some quick introductions before we get started.
Hello, my name is Chanel Woods. I am the proud principal of John F. Kennedy Middle School, aka Wolverine Nation.
And hello, I'm Lori Mooney, the proud principal of Pioneer Elementary School.
And I am Doug Wagner, the proud principal of Lakeland High School, and we are working on the story at the lake.
All right, so we have a lot of pride on here today. So you all are in for a treat with this group. So without any further ado, let's get started. The first question I have for you all is if you could please describe your leadership journey. How did you begin building your leadership skills and seeking out those opportunities?
I think my leadership journey has been unique in that it actually started in marching band when I was in high school, and that's where I had my first leadership opportunities. So I would say my foundation in leadership started there. I've been a school administrator in Suffolk Public Schools for 19 years, 15 as a head principal. And as far as my journey, I think it's kind of unique because I've served in like 5 different schools, all different types of school settings. So in my journey, I've been able to activate change and also be able to grow leaders and just learn a lot and flourish, at the same time. Leadership has been a huge part of my life, and how I went into it as a classroom teacher, seeking out different opportunities, serving on committees, as well as gaining knowledge outside of the building, because all learning communities are different, so that's pretty much been my journey as a leader.
As a, 34-year veteran, I'm ending my 34th year in education. I was a teacher for 16 years, actually a 4th grade teacher, and then 8 years in Portsmouth, the rest here in Suffolk. But after the classroom teacher, I was in the role of social studies lead teacher, which allowed me to go into all the buildings and really see a variety of leadership styles of all of the principals. So it was really a great learning experience for that. So I was the social studies lead teacher for about 6 years, did that. And then after that in 2008, became a principal, opened up Hill Point Elementary in 2008 with Ron Lee. And then moved on to actually principal at Kilby Shores Elementary School, but actually that had to take that over like at November. So you always have to be ready for those changes because that was a mid-year. But all of the experiences working with all of the administrators in different roles, as well as working with the teachers in the different roles, has helped to develop my leadership and the leadership style.
I think I've heard Dr. Gordon refer to, the best teachers can become your administrators in whichever capacity that we're talking about, whether it's building or curriculum and instruction. I was teaching in Virginia Beach at the Center for Effective Learning, which was at the time their alternative middle school. And when I first started, no real thoughts about administration. But after a few years, I decided, I really need to start distinguishing myself. And I think that's one of the things, is that you want to make sure that you are known for your capacities and your abilities. So over the years, I was featured in the media multiple times, in the newspaper, probably 7 or 8 times, based on the special and unique things that I did with my classes, whether it was visiting senior living establishments or saving the oysters in the Chesapeake Bay. We had a public broadcasting PBS feature on us that was broadcast, as I understood it, nationwide on over 100 channels for over 6 months on net files with myself and the students, and just other opportunities. Within the building, I took on roles as team leader, curriculum and development. And just because it's sitting here and it might look familiar to something that we're getting ready to do, you got the old continuous improvement model from 2001. So yeah, it's true what you hang on to things long enough and it comes back into cycle. So, there's just been so many things, but you just want to make sure that you're getting involved and that you're doing those things and that you're working with your supervisors and making sure that you're just taking advantage of all of those things and showing initiative. When I first got into admin, it was here at Lakeland, and that was 18 years ago. I came as an assistant principal, hired right out of school, and worked with Dr. Thomas Whitley as my principal for 10 years. When he departed Suffolk, I was granted the opportunity to begin working here.
That's great. And everyone who's watching, please do not feel intimidated if you are not yet as famous as Mr. Wagner. That may be just really high to aim. So, just take that with a grain of salt and try your best as you move forward. So moving forward, my next question for you all is, could you describe what a typical day might look like within your current role as a building principal?
Well, I'll start this one. First of all, I don't think there is a typical day. It all depends on the time of year it is. Are we opening? Are we testing? Is it report card time? So truly, there's not a typical day, but I think that's the beauty of it, that every day can be different and is different. I know that one thing that I make sure that we do is we make sure we check emails when we come in and making sure that I do those daily walkthroughs, saying hello to the kids, good morning, good friends, visiting, trying to get the pulse of the building. I think, that's important. So as far as a typical day, there aren't any, but that's the beauty of it.
I agree. There is no typical day, but when it comes to emails, I actually start checking those before I leave home, because with being on the middle school schedule now, a lot of times emails will roll out after our day is over. So I'll see what's on the plate. I'll check my calendar to see what's on the plate. As soon as I get here, my admin team, they're already out and about. So we're talking what's going on today, anything we need to take care of. And then we hit the hallways, ready to communicate with the kids and say good morning and, talk with the staff. And then hit the ground rolling, whether it's meetings or, like she said, observations, lesson plan checks, all parent concerns, all of that.
Got to agree with the nothing that's truly typical. And I think the first 100 pages of my book will include those items that were extremely atypical. Anywhere from having to clear skunks out from underneath the field hockey shed to you name it. It's amazing the things that you might encounter on a given day. But like the lady said, a lot of it is there's things that have to be done every day. It's making those determinations and finding the time to put in what has to get done.
Great. So in addition to wrangling skunks, what is something that surprised you all about your current role as a principal?
I'll say, and I had to reflect on this question a little bit on because it's a lot of surprises. But when I reflect over my 15 years as a head principal, and like I said, I've served in 5 different schools, I've noticed that I was a different version of myself in each one, because each learning community was different. So I had to adapt to the dynamics of that building and what the needs were, still holding my core values there, but I was a different Chanel in each building, which has groomed me into the instruction leader I am. So it's like I had to really reflect. I was different in this one and that one, but it has made me really well-rounded when it comes to my lens, when I look at certain things and with my decision making, because it's not always just one way of doing things. So that has been like my takeaway as far as my surprise and how my journey has groomed me.
Yeah, I agree with Chanel. It's all different with the several schools that I've been in as well. You do have to adapt to your community, the variety of teachers that you have, and it's definitely the growth. You are continually growing. So I don't know if that's a surprise or not, but you certainly grow as an administrator and grow within your skills. They're always, every year, you always say, I need to do this better, different. So it's not only the kids and the faculty that needs to grow. We need to grow as administrators as things change in education.
Yes, indeed. And I think that, that growth, I forget who said it. It was at a meeting and I've just kind of hung on to it. I work every day at trying to learn how to do this job, better. And we should always be growing. There's not going to be a time where I think I'll ever feel comfortable with where I'm at. And to that end, always changing, always looking for new ways. I haven't been to other buildings. I've been in Lakeland for 18 years, but I have had a changing administrative team over those years. So in the same way that Chanel said she wasn't the same Chanel from building to building, I haven't been the same Wagner from team to team. It's kind of, I've tried to adjust myself to let the assistant principals be more able to express their leadership styles. And sometimes that's worked better than others. So, right now working with the team that I think is fabulous, the gel is there and we're going to have a fabulous year next year. But it's always just kind of a surprise. I know there's been at least 5-10 times this year even that's like, wow, that's really an issue that we have to deal with. There are those things that will continue to surprise you. I'm not going to elaborate, but oh Lord, you'll have to buy the book.
I agree. I agree with Doug. There are so many things that did that just happen? And you know what? You just roll with it. The different fires you have to put out, or the different things that perhaps show up in your building, whether it's skunks, whether it's snakes, whether it's different things. Yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting. It's a great job. Great job to have.
Hey, just so you know, the skunks, they keeps the snakes away.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
We're getting all kind of wisdom and guidance on here for anyone who needs it. That's great stuff. One thing that I think has come out that I wanted to emphasize too is I think you all do a really great job of empowering others and building capacity. So I know in talking about working with your fellow administrators, working with teachers, that's one thing that I do want to make sure that we add is I think to be a really strong, effective principal, that's something that you need to be mindful of. And I think you all do a great job with that. So in closing today, my final question is, what advice would you give to someone pursuing leadership and education, and just any final thoughts that you have?
I would say, like I said earlier, seek leadership opportunities within your building, whether it's working with your administrators on certain things. Also planning and facilitating PDs. That's a way of getting in front of staff, and also like flexing your instructional muscles, assisting with discipline. And also if you have the opportunity to visit other buildings and get experience, because each, building is different. There's different dynamics, there's different processes, approaches, procedures. So, and that's a piece of advice that I give aspiring administrators. Try to have experiences in different types of buildings, because that'll keep you well-rounded, and you'll have, you'll see things differently instead of just, being in one building or sticking in one type of building. If you have different experiences, that'll really help grow you.
And I agree again with Chanel, as volunteering to serve on some committees, the other leadership things that you can do in your buildings. That's huge, not only in your buildings, but also with the opportunities that are division-wide, so that you can put yourself out there. When I read the question, we're talking about it, talk about, something that you would say, pursuing leadership and education. As far as a daily thing, be visible in your buildings once you get that leadership position, and always show appreciation to your staff. That goes a long way. Let staff know that you appreciate them, always saying thank you. So again, as a leader, just great communication skills, knowing how to communicate makes a big difference.
So I just muted myself. I tried to unmute myself. So what the lady said, agree with totally, and without repeating them, I would probably just throw in some aspects of, again, the assertion of yourself into things, showing that initiative and motivation. If you find yourself being kind of quiet, like I'm quiet, be yourself, but also do not be too reserved. I think it's important for people to know who you are. And that can be done in a lot of ways, but you don't want to be your best imitation of somebody else. You want to be the best you that you can be. And to that end, don't be discouraged if in the process things go slowly. So I had applied multiple times at Virginia Beach. I had been through their leadership program. And my boss was telling me, Dougie, you're next. You're coming up soon. Well, it didn't happen, and this came to Suffolk, and it's been the best thing that ever happened to me to end up at Lakeland High School. So God works in mysterious ways, and here I am in my 18th year of adjusting to Suffolk life. So it's then there's also the move from AP to principal. I won't tell you how many, but there were a whole lot of interviews that took place before I wound up assuming this position at Lakeland. So people are looking for matches, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not skilled and that you're not wonderful. So if you don't get those offers right away, don't give up. And one of the wisest people that I know shared that same idea with me. And I don't remember how many times he said, but it was in the double digits anyway, was Doug Dowie. And he was the supervisor when I first took over the principalship at Lakeland. And he held my hand through a couple of years. I miss him greatly, but he himself went through a huge number of interviews at each step that he took. And he was one of the most awesome people to ever work in education. So I'll just leave you with that.
That's great. Well, thank you all so much. You've given such great guidance that I think is applicable to everyone where they are right now, and then also things to consider as they move forward. And I love that we're leaving with that thought of it may be about the match, not to get discouraged, but things tend to happen for a reason. And even if it's hard to see at the time, that might be that something better for you is coming right around the turn, or someone might see something in you that you hadn't seen in yourself with regard to a great next step. So thank you all so much for joining today. I know that you are very busy as building administrators doing great work for us here in Suffolk. So thanks again for your time and for your wisdom. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Dr. Colt.
Thank you.
Thank you.